Hi guys, it's Sid and welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I would do a draw my life video. I have never done one of these, but I thought it'd be super fun for you guys to get to know me a little bit better. If you guys don't already know me, my name is Sydney and I'm 17 years old and I make videos here on YouTube. So make sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But let's go ahead and get into the draw my life. So starting out, I was born in Minnesota on July 4th, 2000. My dad actually always used to tell me that the fireworks were for my birthday. So I literally thought that those were especially for me and I was like so happy. But then I realized that it was actually for the holiday and not just for my birthday. So my dad owns an optical store, so he sells glasses and contacts and all that, and my mom is a nurse, and they had little baby me. This is me. I'm not very good at drawing, you guys. Sorry, bear with me. But I actually wasn't the only one. I have an older brother, Ryan, who is a few years older than me, and we have a ton of fun memories together. He was actually such a prankster though, you guys. Like, he would always try to pull pranks on my mom or my dad. Not really me because I was really little, but one time he decided to put tape underneath the sink, and this was on April Fool's Day, so I mean, we really should have seen this coming. So what happened was my mom went to go use the sink later, and she didn't see the tape on there because he tried to hide it, and all of the water went everywhere, and it was such a mess. I was honestly kind of traumatized as a child because it was kind of scary. Now I look back and it's funny, but basically Ryan's just a really good prankster, and he would always prank everyone. So a couple of years after I was born, my little baby brother Ashton was born, who I'm sure you guys have seen in some of my videos. We have such a good relationship, so we would just hang out all the time, and we got along really well. And we would just basically spend like all of our time together. Like, actually, you guys, we were always together. So when I was about 3 years old, my parents decided to put me into gymnastics class. They thought it'd be fun for me to try out, and I actually ended up really liking it. But during the days, since Ashton and I were not in school yet, we would go to my grandparents' house. My parents chose not to have a daycare provider just because my brother and I really liked hanging out with my grandparents. We had a lot of fun with them, so we would just hang out and play games and stuff like that. I also have a cousin named Tori, and she would come over all the time during the days, and we would basically just like go on the swing set and hang out, but I don't know why I wanted to include this. We just had so much fun together. Another one of my favorite memories was having tea parties with my grandma. I don't know if this was something that like a lot of kids did, but my grandma would basically set up this really cute tea party, and we had all these cute little snacks. It wasn't like a super fancy tea party. It was like random stuff that was store-bought, but that was like my favorite thing ever to do at my grandparents' house. I felt like so fancy, you guys. Like, I seriously thought I was so cool. So then it was time for my parents to send me off to school. I was really excited for elementary school. I was obviously really nervous, but I didn't really understand it at the time. And I made a lot of new friends there, and I loved my school. I don't know, I just had a really good elementary school experience. Actually, one of the friends that I made in elementary school is Sarah. You guys might have seen her in my videos, so I thought I'd put in this picture because we look so little, you guys. Does that even look like me? Like, I don't know. And at this time, I was still doing gymnastics. I loved it. And I also was making a few YouTube videos with my brother. We basically just used our iPad, and the videos were so bad. One of the videos was called How to Make Kool-Aid. So you can tell they were like not good at all. So now moving on to middle school, I was actually really sad when I had to leave elementary school because I loved it. And also all of my really close friends were going to a different middle school than me. I was seriously one of the only ones going to this other middle school. So I felt like such an outcast when I went to this other one. But I did end up making some friends there, so it was all good. And at this time, I was still doing gymnastics, but unfortunately I kept getting hurt. And it got to the point where I got hurt more than I was able to do gymnastics, so I was basically out more than I was in, and it was just not good for my body. So my parents decided to take me to the doctors to see what was wrong and just kind of what the doctor thought I should do. And he told my parents that my body was just really not meant for the sport. I think some people are just better designed for it. I just kept getting hurt, so he basically just told me I should quit. And this was so sad. I was actually so upset about this because I really thought I was going to do gymnastics forever. Okay, well, like not forever, but for a really long time. So then that kind of got me to thinking, like, what should I do with all this time that I have? And I thought about doing acting. So I decided to try out for my middle school play. And I've always loved acting, so I just thought it'd be really fun to try. So I ended up trying out for The Little Mermaid, and I got casted as Flounder. And I was so excited. It was such a fun time. I met so many fun people through the play, and I just had a lot of friendships. And this was something that took up a lot of time too, so I was super busy with that. But as I was doing this, and as I was doing performances and shows, and even just like after play practices, I noticed that my throat was hurting really, really bad. And at first I actually thought like I was sick. I thought I got the flu or like, I don't know, something weird. So I went to the doctors and got all of these tests done, and it was so odd because all of the tests came back negative. So we ended up going to a ton of different doctors, and I got diagnosed with vocal cord dysfunction. Basically what this means is I wasn't like talking the right way. I was using my vocal cords the wrong way, and I didn't even know that. It's really hard for me to control, and I still have trouble with that sometimes. So I had to stop doing plays because all of this singing and talking ended up really hurting my throat. So basically this left me at square one. I wasn't doing gymnastics and I also wasn't able to do the plays. So I really didn't know what to do because I had all of this free time on my hands. But this actually led me to watching a ton of YouTube videos. I watched YouTube videos like all the time. I loved all the beauty gurus on there. Some of my favorites were Bethany Moda and Makeup by Mandy 24. I actually went to some of their meetups, so I have some pictures of that. Don't I look so little, guys? Like, I feel like that doesn't even look like me. Comment below, do I even look like that? But yeah, so I was watching YouTube pretty much all the time, and I'm sure you guys can already guess, this led me to asking my parents to start my own channel, and they were so supportive of it. They're like, yeah, go for it, you should totally do it. So on my birthday, I actually asked for my own laptop and like studio lights, and my parents were so sweet and they got that for me. So that was officially the start of my channel on my birthday, July 4th, 2014. So basically right after that, I started making videos, and my first video was my channel intro, and I filmed it on my bed. It was so bad, but it's still up on my channel. It's actually, I thought about putting it on private, but it's so funny. So that's still live. And I basically just started to learn all about the YouTube community. I taught myself how to edit and all of that, and I just felt like I really belonged in that community, and I loved it. It was definitely a passion I had. But what's interesting is that I really didn't want anyone to know about my channel. I kept it such a secret. I didn't want anyone to know from my school because I was so embarrassed that people would find it. But now that I look back, that was honestly so dumb. Honestly, guys, my best advice is just to not care what people think of you because it doesn't matter. But now we're moving on to high school. My freshman year was a really big time for me. I was actually really excited to go to high school, but unfortunately, I actually didn't end up liking high school. There were a lot of reasons that I didn't like it, but the main thing was just the people at my school. I didn't like the whole popularity concept. I just felt like it was so immature. And also, I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced cliques and stuff like that, and I didn't like that at all. I just felt like I didn't belong there because it was so popularity based and it was such a fake environment, and I wasn't happy being around all of that negative energy. But anyways, during high school, I pretty much just did homework all the time. I was just always working on schoolwork pretty much all the time, so that didn't leave a ton of time for my YouTube channel. I was still making videos, just not as much. And I also did make a group of friends in high school. I was pretty much working on homework all the time though. Overall, I didn't really like the high school experience, so when I was a junior, I actually had the option to do college instead. So basically, I decided to leave my high school and go into college. I consider college more of like the real world and less of like the bubble of popularity in high school drama. So I was able to escape the popularity this way, and I was also able to focus more on my YouTube channel. And this next part I wasn't sure if I was going to include just because it was very recent and it's super personal to me, but I thought I would include it because it has a good message at the end. So when I was in high school, I had a really close group of friends, and when I left high school, they actually just decided to stop hanging out with me and inviting me to things. I remember that I would see so many Snapchat stories of them hanging out, and I would never be invited to anything, and I just felt so discluded, and I just felt so alone and betrayed by my friends, and it was a very hard time for me. And through this, I ended up learning that they were fake friends and they weren't true friends, because true friends would stick with you and not disclude you from things like that. So while seeing them hang out all the time was really hard for me, and losing them as friends was really difficult, but I decided to transform my energy, and I decided to just focus on my YouTube. I had all of this time now because they didn't hang out with me, so I really just put all of my energy and efforts into my YouTube, and I just turned all of that bitterness and negative energy into a positive energy and motivation basically for my channel. So I was super motivated, and I was constantly filming and editing videos, and I had so much fun with that. And I also just wanted to point out that Rachel and April are my true homies. Thanks for sticking with me through everything. I love you guys so much because they were there for me when those other girls weren't, and they are the best example of true friends. So I love you guys so much. So since I was spending all this time on my YouTube now that I wasn't hanging out with those girls anymore, and I had all this motivation, our little family started to grow so quickly, and it seriously blows my mind that there are 560,000 of you guys. I believe everything happens for a reason, so I'm so grateful to be with you guys today. I love you all so much more than you even know. Honestly, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for supporting me. It means the world when I see all of your guys' kind and sweet comments. I hope this motivates you guys to know that if you are in a negative situation, you have the option to turn it into a good one. But again, thank you all so much. I know this is just the beginning and there's so much ahead for us, so I love you all to the moon and back, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!
The great yellow sun is reflecting in your deep blue eyes. The day has begun.